everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, No More Secrets. As always, I'm your niece, Katie Albrecht.
And I'm your aunt, Mary Albrecht. And today we're doing an episode on trust. We thought that was a good one for mental health. It's really kind of complex. So
it goes in with everything, too.
In all relationships.
Personal, professional, casual. It's just like trust matters everywhere in your life, I
Even
think.
Animals. Like, if you think about it, do you trust that dog to not bite you or whatever? Like, things like that.
That's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I just thought of that
Do they trust you to not hurt them?
There you go. See, it goes across species, too. So, anyway, but we have, oh, look. There's a...
Who put that there?
So, Katie and I had a really great week. Terry's doing well for him. And it was just an upbeat week that way. And then Katie had an upbeat week and just thought it would be fun if we popped a bottle of champagne and toasted to just a good week. It doesn't have to be anything huge. And, the weather's nice. It's getting lighter out, stuff like that.
Here in the Midwest, it's a balmy 45 degrees.
It's just, I'm
ready to go swimming.
People are in shorts. I'm telling you. Okay, so I'm going to pop this. And we've got our Albrecht Authors glasses. But I'm not really good at popping things without a rag, as you see. Yeah. See?
For those that are listening and not watching, her face is pretty hilarious as she pops champagne.
Okay, here it comes. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Ooh!
Whoa.
Wow.
Right. And
cheers.
Cheers. So this is an interesting...
I don't know.
Mum Napa?
The wine guy at Mariano's recommended it, and I was just like, all right, I'll do that.
It's a brut.
It's a brut.
No,
but you like brutes.
I love brut. Not only is it brut, it's brut prestige, it says.
Ooh. Wow. That's good.
I don't want to get you too drunk, right? Because
you fill up the entire glass.
The rest is for me. It's from... I
think it's from Napa.
Oh, that's why it's called Mum Napa.
Yeah. Who would have thought?
Okay, I'm going to have a little more just in case.
Yeah, you got to top her
just
off.
in case this goes long.
I'm good, though. So ready? Cheers?
Okay, cheers to a good week.
To a good week.
We did it. Another week.
Mm-hmm. So we can get into our... Does it taste broody enough?
It tastes really brut.
Really brut?
Really brut, yep. It's perfect. It doesn't have like a weird aftertaste or anything. So
it's not too sweet either. I like
maybe we can get maybe we get Mum Napa to sponsor us.
Hey, let's get on that.
I mean, we've talked about them so much now.
In the last 30 seconds. Yeah, we really deserve a sponsorship now.
I know. Well, got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, what? Okay, yeah. So trust.
Yeah.
And I guess we're going to start again with a poll, which I think has really kind of been fun for the listeners, and it's fun for me.
Yeah.
To a lot of you are answering the polls, and we appreciate that. So
yeah, and if you're not following us on Instagram or Facebook, it's at the Albrecht Authors, and that's where we put them on our stories.
Okay.
So
this is our second week of doing that.
Yeah, if you want to engage with us, we tend to put them out. I don't know if it's going to be every week or not, but if you want to engage and hear your thoughts on this episode or future episodes, you can just reach out on there.
Okay. So this one, we had 2 questions, right?
We had 2 questions. And I'll go over the statistics from the people that submitted. The first one was, do you inherently trust new people you meet? And 60% of them said yes, 40% said no. And then I guess going back into, I got my little note cards here. So for the girls that answered, 40% said yes. So majority said no, they don't trust people.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. And then the guys was 80% said yes, they inherently trust people that they meet.
Wow.
Yeah. So
see, that goes back to the gender thing again.
Yeah, I think it is kind of like interesting that guys are more trusting at first, Yeah. Like girls, I think, are more cautious in general.
Very interesting, yeah. And we talked about making mistakes and forgiveness and stuff, and how males tend to just get over it quicker too. So they not only get over things quicker, they go into it quicker.
So, yeah, definitely. Like they just trust easily, I guess.
Just assume unless they know otherwise. So yeah.
Right. So then the other question that we asked was can you rebuild trust once it's broken? And 83% of people said yes, and then 17 said no. So
That's hopeful.
that is hopeful, yeah, that you can rebuild it. Obviously it's circumstantial, I think. And
Yeah.
we did have people answer a more open-ended question, which I'll read in a second. So, but for the genders, the answer to that question, can you rebuild trust once it's broken? All of the guys said yes.
All of the guys?
Yes. So I guess there's a lot of forgiving men out there, which is wonderful.
Okay, good to hear.
And then 71% of the girls said, yes, you can rebuild. So they are, once again, not as trusting.
Interesting. Gosh.
It is kind of
100%.
fascinating, right?
Wow.
Yeah, 100% said you can rebuild. However, I mean, it is just a yes and no question, so it is circumstantial. I think there's situations everywhere.
And it depends, how big the issue is and how long the trust was broken and that kind of thing. So
right, yeah, it just depends. And I think it's good to go into these answers, too, because people said how they can the question that we asked them was, how do you rebuild trust after it's broken? And we had a combination of both guys and girls that responded to this. And thank you guys all for taking the time to write a little comment on it. I think I can just read them and then we'll go through them. So the first one says takes time and willingness to give someone another chance. I think that's on both ends. It seems like.
What do you mean
The
both?
other person has to kind of put forth an effort.
Oh, okay. And then the other one has to be patient and give it time.
Yeah, it has to be willing to work it through and everything, and willing to forgive for something that maybe is serious or not so serious, depends on the situation. Another person said communication, openness, discussions about where the situations where trust was broken. So obviously good communication,
big time, and it has to
you
come.
do need to be able to talk about stuff. Yeah,
and that also comes from both ends. You can have one in a relationship that wants to talk it through, and the other one that doesn't.
Right.
So that's not healthy.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So then another response is have to confront and work through the broken trust, which is kind of the same thing as communication. You need to be willing and able to work through it.
Yeah, the time factor of working through it, giving it patience, giving it what it needs.
Right. Forgive. Everyone makes mistakes. It's another one, which goes along with our last week's episode of people making mistakes and not hanging it over their head if they're willing to improve.
Yeah.
Another person said patience and grace. Seems to be a theme going on here.
Patience.
Yeah, patience and willingness. I think that's all kind of the same general area, This one I thought was interesting. It says, lower the expectations of the person or the offender.
Wow.
Which I do think I don't think that's wrong, because if you do have lower expectations of someone, of what they're capable of or what they're going to do for you, towards you or for you or anything like that, then you're not going to get disappointed when they do those things, or they do the bad stuff. But is that the way that you should look at your relationships? I don't know. And
is that more of lower the expectation of the person that broke trust, or just in general lower expectations for all people?
That's a good point. I don't know.
Because if it's the person that broke trust and then you lower the expectations, you're not really rebuilding it, because now you're seeing that person differently.
Right.
So I kind of think that knowing the person that said this, it kind of meant just, realize that people are flawed in general. And, just don't be so shocked, that people make mistakes, like that other comment,
Yeah, and it's accept people as is, not how you want them to be.
Well, then there's that too, because you might have just totally thought you knew somebody a certain way, but they've always been the same. You just didn't notice.
Or you really wanted them to change, and you were stuck on the vision of them changing and didn't actually accept them how they
That's
are
a big
presenting
one.
themselves
Yeah.
to you,
That's a big one, wanting to change.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a good point, though. I think that's really interesting. And then the last one is through your actions. You have to genuinely show remorse for breaking that trust, which I think is fair.
And I like the action word because, it's not what you say, it's what you do. It's easy to say, I'm really sorry, you can trust me. But no, you need to actually show it,
Right.
not just say it. And you need to show it over time. So we need to put the action and the time, patience factor all together, I think. And it just takes time and it's baby steps,
Yeah.
And now, to be fair, there are people that can hold that over your head too. Let's say the person that broke trust, they try really, really hard, and the person that is trying to forgive you is not giving you, allowing you to make steps forward. So that's also not healthy. So that you got to work together.
Yeah.
If it matters.
Yeah. If it's someone that's important to you, you kind of have to be willing to work at it,
Exactly. So yeah, that was a really interesting commentary on genders again, though. Whoa.
Yeah, I find that interesting. And I've also heard that women are more, they're more analytical when it comes to relationships. Like they're more like conscious and,
definitely
pay more attention.
Analyzing it on a regular basis, going over it in their heads. Yeah. Like, is this okay? Did I say something wrong? Did he say something wrong? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's just the way the women's brains are wired differently.
I think it's like a biological thing where women are more prone to be that way because they are the ones that carry babies. So then they're just more cautious in general.
Well, that's true.
So I think it's just like even if you're not a mom or anything, you just have that kind of instinct to like be very aware of the people around you and what their intentions are and
protective. Yeah,
protective.
That makes sense. Yeah, and the men are supposed to be out there getting the kill, so they're just out there trusting that they're going to get the kill.
Yeah,
you like that?
This is men.
This is why it's good we're on YouTube.
Yeah, now people can see how we're talking all this stuff out.
So I looked up the definition of trust just on the Google. I call it the Google. The Google.
Okay, boomer.
I know, exactly. And this one I really like. Trust is a feeling that somebody or something can be relied on or will turn out to be good. It is the feeling of being sure about something even if it cannot be proved. Mm. And that's what I like, that even if it cannot be proved. Like, why do you trust her? Because I just do.
Yeah.
You just do. How do you equate that? I mean, how do you prove it? How do you measure it? So
it just, it is or it isn't.
Yeah, sort
That's
of.
a good point.
I mean, when it is, it is. When it isn't, it isn't, but can be and is again.
I don't know if that made sense to anyone else, but I think I get what you were trying to say.
So let me just give you an example of that, because Terry says, my husband, that being trustworthy is like being pregnant. You either are or you aren't. So when you said it is or it isn't, like, you either are or are not pregnant.
Yeah.
And so if you're not trustworthy, and it just, that's the way you are. Like, you're just not pregnant all the time. You never get pregnant.
Oh, okay. So you're saying trustworthy instead of trusting.
Once you've broken trust, it's kind of like concrete. It's gone. You can't get it back. That's his opinion.
With like a certain person, obviously.
With certain people.
You can be trustworthy to others. You can learn from, this goes into our making mistakes episode. Like, if you weren't trustworthy to a certain person, you can take that and learn and grow with another person.
Right.
If that person doesn't allow you to do it with them,
Well, that's true too. I mean, there are times when it just gets severed, right? You've just broken trust, but
sometimes people have boundaries and it just is the end of it. But
I don't agree. I mean, I guess I agree that you probably can't trust that. I mean, also what he's saying is, when you trust 100%. You can't trust somebody 20% because you don't really trust them then, right?
Right. Yeah.
So maybe that's what he meant about the pregnant or not. You can't be a little bit pregnant.
You're right. You're definitely all pregnant. Yeah.
Even if it's a little ways along, you're still pregnant. So
yeah, I get that.
So
that makes sense. When you trust someone, you don't think about how you trust them. You know what I mean? Like, you just do.
Yeah.
But then when you don't trust them, you're constantly analyzing the situation and like thinking about like what are they going to do? You know, like you're just overthinking it, and
and so you think you're trying to trust them, but obviously you don't 100%, or wouldn't be so hard on the mind, right?
Right. Yeah. It would just be It would just be. Yeah. Like you would just know that they're not going to do anything to you. You know.
Yeah. Even if it cannot be proved.
Mm-hmm.
And this is another definition. Trust is an abstract mental attitude toward a proposition that someone is dependable, a feeling of confidence and security that they care. And then this is funny. Trust is a complex neural process that binds diverse representations into a semantic pointer that includes emotions.
My brain turned off a little bit when you said that.
You didn't trust that sentence.
Or I didn't. It was just a lot of words mixed together that didn't make sense to me.
Didn't trust that it would actually fulfill your need to know.
Sure, if we want to get philosophical about it, yeah.
So, but then, what's interesting, going back to that one, I like abstract mental attitude. That's neat. It's abstract. It's not concrete. It's just, it's not something you can hold, I trust because of this. It's just abstract in your mind. Again, it just is, right? Mm-hmm. But what I found interesting I didn't even think of this until I was looking up the definition of trust. A trust fund, a property interest held by one person for the benefit of another. And I never thought that trust funds were called that because the person that is benefiting from it trusts that the person holding the trust has their best interest at heart and will follow through.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I didn't even think of that either.
Yeah, I just thought that was the name.
Trust.
That's the name. Yeah,
it's a trust fund.
It is what it is.
But this is actually along with the other ones, like it's number one is firm belief in the character or truth of something. In the same definition, it's talking about property interest held by an organization or a person for the benefit of another. So I never put that together. It's just one of those little things that matters to me. So yeah, I was thinking that those definitions were kind of neat to see how the Google does things. How the
Google thinks. Yeah.
The Google, anything comes up. It's just amazing. Have you heard of it?
Yeah, you can answer any question on there, I think.
So we were going to talk a little bit about. Here's my notes for today. No, I think one of the main things, obviously we're on this show because of my brother, Katie's father, and we were planning this actually ahead of time, like not just today, but talking last night. But Ken, my brother, had no trust. Mm-hmm. And we were saying how in order to be able to trust, you have to be trustworthy yourself.
Or vice versa, where in order to be come off as trustworthy, you have to be trusting first.
Okay.
Of the person, because if people, I think of people that just clearly didn't trust me. I didn't trust them.
Every single
Cheers
time.
In the mic, yeah.
Every time. They're in close proximity, right? See.
Yeah.
Somebody said, just make sure you don't drink the mic.
I mean, I wouldn't advise that, yeah, or eat it. We need it for podcast, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. But kind of sad. He absolutely had no trust. He certainly wasn't trustworthy. But I remember asking you last night, do you think he even trusted, like, my mom?
I don't remember him ever saying that he trusted someone.
Or my dad, or Steve even. I mean, Steve was like, one of his, 10 years younger, kind of a best friend growing up.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what level of trust you're thinking, because I think trust comes in levels. You know what I mean? Like, you can trust someone professionally, you can trust someone to do a certain task. Do you trust them emotionally? Not necessarily,
That's a good point. Yeah,
I don't think he emotionally trusted anyone.
Okay, now that is a really interesting point to think, I trust that he'll pay that bill or whatever.
Yeah,
But-
he'll give me money when I ask him.
But he
I'm
won't
feeling that's
necessarily
why.
tell me he loves me. That would be my dad.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Like, I don't go to him for advice, or like he didn't go to him for advice or anything like that. You know?
Yeah.
I think he was naturally a distrustful person. You could hear it in his speech, with the neighbors, politicians, basketball coaches, family members. I mean, like, everything that he kind of spewed out, he was just distrustful about, and it was
Bad.
yeah. I mean, it was tough. It was obvious that he also, going back to what we were saying, being trusting and trustworthy kind of or fall into the same thing. Like, no one trusted my dad with anything, like, even just not even like outside world. He did coaching for a little bit, but then after a while, because he had such a reputation of being untrustworthy, he like lost jobs and like coaching jobs and all that stuff. Even Joe was saying when he came on a couple episodes ago
About the accident, he got fired because he had kept showing up drunk.
because he proved that he was untrustworthy.
Yeah, and so that kind of person, you can never rebuild trust because he doesn't do any work to show why we should try to trust him again.
Right.
There's no effort.
Some people don't.
Except for now, Grandma and Grandpa, maybe they didn't trust him, but they sure acted like they did. Like they gave him whatever he wanted. They gave him money thinking it was going to go to the family, your family.
True.
I'm so confused on this one still because when Joe was on the episode and we talked about, do you think Grandma and Grandpa were afraid of their lives from Ken? And Joe was like, absolutely, absolutely. And it's like, really? Like that he could actually kill them? Yes, absolutely. So now I start to wonder, did they trust him or did they just do the easier thing because they didn't want to risk being stabbed in the night?
Jeez. I
Got nothing.
I can't imagine that they just inherently trusted him.
They can't be that dumb, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, because all he did was ask for money. He didn't like try to show that he was making his own, I just like he never put forth any effort to show that he was contributing like anything.
All he did was take
emotionally, take physically, unfortunately, and take monetarily. Like that's all he did. He took. Yeah, and I think that goes along with trust. If you're always taking and you're never giving back, how are you going to be considered a trustworthy person?
Did your mom trust him at all, at least at one point?
I think she wanted to.
Okay.
I think she really, really wanted to make that marriage work. And
yeah.
I understand that now, obviously, because when you get married, you try to do it only once, and especially when I think in that time, it was less common to get divorced.
Yeah, even that 30 years difference, yeah.
Yeah, like it's just, she really wanted to make it work. She wanted us to have two parents, for better or for worse, and I think she kept trying to give him chances that he didn't deserve and didn't obviously respond well to,
Yeah. Every time I start talking about him, I get really bummed. There's really no bright side to it. And again, that's why we're here.
Yeah.
And the more that we talk about it, I think the more all of us are realizing, just not even you and me, but like Joe and even Sarah, Steve, definitely, that it's like, I can't believe we put up with all that. Like it
is kind of a shock.
It was so blatantly wrong on so many levels, and I just can't even believe that we kind of adapted to it and still managed to somehow get out of there and function in the world. It's blowing my mind. I don't know. Maybe it's just you just get used to it, but it's like, whoa, that was really awful. With him.
Well, that being said, so obviously we grew up with a very untrustworthy, upbringing, both of us.
Mm-hmm.
How do you view how do you trust people? So the questions that we asked other people, like, do you inherently trust new people when you
Oh
meet
yeah,
them?
we didn't even ask ourselves, did we?
No, I don't think neither of us answered that. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I do, and I always wondered about that. I wonder why I'm such an open book and like a little puppy when it comes to almost all people. And I've learned through my recent stint of therapy that that's because I was taught to never be mean, never have any boundaries, never have your guard up, make it all about the other person all the time, or you're going to be just like Ken, you know? And so my upbringing was, if you say you don't trust somebody, you're like Ken. Automatically, you're just like him, And then boundaries, if I try to have boundaries with Ken, then I'm A, like Ken, and B, I'm mean to Ken. And so I just learned to make myself open as a way to not be like Ken. I mean, it's like my whole mission in life that's why I was, an overachiever and all that. It's like my whole mission was to not hear those words come out of my parents' mouth that, oh, well, you have problems too, Mary. You both have problems. And, this is why we're easy on Ken, because we're easy on you, when again, my problem might be, a little slip up, or I missed curfew by 15 minutes or something like that. Mm-hmm. So I think, but I've gotten really burned from being that trusting.
Yeah.
And I think also you and I are people. Like I've always been an up person. I was born that way. I love people from the start. I used to chase the mailman down the street talking to him. Grandma said, Mary Beth, get back here. He has a job to do. And
I used to chase after the characters at Six Flags or Disney World or something. I would always be the first to run up to them and give them a hug before they were even looking at me.
Yeah. See, so it's just born right in. So
yeah,
I definitely think you can rebuild trust once it's broken, 100% that way. Yeah,
I think it's possible, but I agree with some of the people we're talking about that the other person kind of has to show effort.
It's got to be two ways. Yep.
Yeah, it's not. You can't just turn it on and off. Like, okay, I'm gonna try to trust you now. It's like, no, the person has to make some effort so that you're you see that, and then you can naturally feel that that it is or it isn't thing.
Yeah.
Of okay, now I'm starting to trust you. You're really trying here,
And then, what about the first question?
That was the first question.
Well, that was the rebuild, or
inherently trusting people.
But what I meant, how about you? Do you inherently trust people too? Is that what you meant by going up to the Disney characters?
Yeah, I used to. I'm more cautious nowadays.
Okay.
However, it's there's levels to it. I've learned a lot about trust, especially now that I'm in a long-term committed, obviously I'm engaged and everything, relationship.
Yeah.
That trust goes so farther deep than I ever imagined. I thought I trusted people before, but it turns out that I now that I really know the depths of it, it's different. I don't think I fully trusted people to that extent. On an open level, I'm not gonna be distrusting of them openly, but it's always in the back of my mind to be kind of have my guard up and be cautious, if that makes sense.
And why is that then, do you think? From being burned from your dad?
Being burned from him, being burned from other people. My dad's not the only person that's
Right,
hurt me before.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously other people have too and stuff. And I think I'm somewhere in between. I think people deserve a chance to show that they're trustworthy. Mm-hmm. And I try to give them those chances. But if I feel like something's off, I'm pretty quick to be guards up. I'm ready to.
How is your
defensive
manipulation radar? Meaning, if somebody is being manipulative, do you have good radar right away?
I think so. You can kind of see it.
I feel like because of growing up with Ken, I can smell it, I can feel it, I can taste it when it's there. Whoa, I just don't. There's a bad feeling right away. when people are really manipulative or like a sociopath or something like that. It has to be pretty extreme.
I'm immediately distrustful of people that are like overly charming and like smooth talking.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit that that's one area that I'm like immediately like, I don't buy this, because I've seen that's how sociopaths work, narcissists or whatever you want to call it. That's how they work. They charm you and make you feel like you're like the best person in the world. They love bomb you and like compliment you and make you feel all good. And anytime someone does that upon just like right when meeting me, I'm like, I don't. Something's off.
Right. Yep. Well, you had that in both your dad and your boyfriend.
Yeah, ex-boyfriend.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I meant her first boyfriend at the time is what I meant.
Yeah, no, because I saw the other side, like the romantic side of it. Right.
Sorry, Matt. Which by the way, we're calling them Cat and Matey.
Yeah, so matey. It has nothing to do with matey.
When you combine names, Katie and Matt, it's Cat and Matey. It's like, what's it with Angelina and Brad? It was Bradgelina or something like that. And so we were combining that, and then we were combining
Taylor Swift and Harry Styles was Haler. I remember.
Haler, and then we went to Terry and Mary.
Because Mary is married to Terry, and if you reverse the names, they're still Mary and Terry.
Exactly the same.
Exactly. Yeah. So you just can't have on social media they call it like a ship name. Like, it's a relationship.
Oh, a ship name.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's like your ship name.
Mary and Terry becomes Mary and
Terry.
Terry.
Mary and Terry.
Maybe it becomes Terry and Mary.
Where I'm Cat and
Matey.
Yeah.
Anyway, we also wanted to kind of tap into the forgiveness, which goes with trust, right? Mm-hmm. And Grandma was huge on forgiveness. And what I hated about her forgiveness thing was that you're just supposed to forgive. Like somebody comes, it's not even your dad. Like somebody comes and robs you and takes all your stuff, and then you automatically forgive them, even though you never meet them, they never show remorse, they never return your stuff. Like that's what she wanted me to do with everybody. And I'm like, but he didn't earn the forgiveness. Well, that's not what forgiveness is. I kind of think that is what forgiveness is that the person has to be remorseful. Like what one of the comments said, you have to really genuinely show remorse before you. So somebody just hurts you over and over and over again, and every time you forgive them, how does that help change that person? It doesn't.
It doesn't change the situation at all.
But she's like, God forgives. But I think, no, God does forgive, but you have to ask God for forgiveness. You have to get down on your knees with remorse and beg for forgiveness from God, or ask for it.
Or I think it's like the Catholic faith where you have to repent.
You have to repent.
You actually have to show your willingness to admit that you were in the wrong,
Yeah, and I wish I would have pulled up the section in the book about that when talking about her faith-based rationale, and God doesn't put qualifications on people and doesn't put boundaries on people. And in the book, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What about the 10 Commandments? I mean, good Lord. And that's from the beginning of time or the beginning of Jesus. It's like, thou shalt not. Doesn't that sound like a boundary?
Yeah.
And yet just forgive, because that's what God would do, Mary. And it just really made me mad. And it took me a long time to realize that in order to forgive somebody to their face, like if they're wanting to be in your life, they need to have shown some kind of work and some kind of remorse. Now, there is the concept of forgiving somebody that broke your trust that you never see again, but it's ruminating inside, and you decide internally just to let it go and be like, he was in a bad place, but you don't want them in your life then because they haven't done anything to prove that they are remorseful for what they did. So so I guess forgiveness is really a partner to trust, obviously. Certainly a partner for mistakes.
No, yeah.
Usually making mistakes is when you break trust.
But they all create a power triangle, you know what I mean? They're all kind of in the same topic.
Yeah, they are. And so we might as well get to this one. One of the biggest things about trust is when not only marital couples, but just couples have affairs on each other.
Yeah.
That kind of trust, I wonder, is
How do you build trust after that?
If you found out that one time or for years, your partner, your love of your life was being completely intimate and with another person in the way that you thought was special to you. Mm-hmm. I can't imagine that kind of hurt. I've never had that happen. I mean, I've had,
never been cheated on in any relationship?
It was like the thing where you'd find out that they were dating someone else right at the beginning. So you thought he was yours, but you hadn't really become monogamous yet. And then I had that with Terry, and I had that with a couple other people, but I don't remember anybody just blatantly cheating on me.
Oh,
and
I've been
finding out the wrong way or the hard way.
I had I was reached out to by the girl on Facebook, the girl that he did it with, and I respect
the girl. Then I guess,
respect
right?
her for saying it because that's takes balls. You know what I mean? Like, that's hard to reach out to.
Was
someone
she still
and
with
say
him? And
No.
when she did that, or had she been hurt by him and then she wanted to hurt him back?
I'm not sure the full extent. She just said, like, hey, me and your boyfriend slept together this past weekend, and I thought you needed to know. And then I was like, whoa.
Did she know you were with him at the time?
I don't remember.
You don't remember that either? Whoa.
I honestly, I mean,
Hi,
we're not
Bella.
like friends.
Is that like a punch in the gut when you heard that?
Yeah, because then I called him
Bella.
after that. I actually called my friend first. My friend came over, helped me. Hello.
There's
Hi, kitty.
one of our cats.
But yeah, so I called my friend to like comfort me because I was devastated. You know what I mean?
Did you really care for this guy a lot?
I mean, looking back on it, no. But
but at the time.
at the time, you feel like I was 19 or something like
and
that.
in love, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, kitty.
Come here,
yeah,
Bella.
I called him and said, hey, and he didn't think anything was wrong. He was just like, hey, what's up? And then he...
keep talking, Katie. Excuse me. I'm going to let Bella, in a room that she
just get in a room.
Yeah. And then
so I'm just going to talk to myself.
Right.
I'll
be back. Better than her bellowing for the rest of the episode.
Yeah. I mean, so I was... I don't even remember what I was saying, to be honest.
You called him and he said, hey, what's up? Thinking nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
He, he thinks nothing was wrong. And then I said, yeah, this girl, and I said her name, reached out to me. And he goes, oh. And I'm like, do you know why?
Oh.
Do you know why she reached out to me? And I just let him answer, and he was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, you all this just flipped into it, and I was like, oh great, so this is true. So it was like confirmed right away. I didn't even say what he did, and he just already apologized.
Yeah, gosh, he could have maybe been saved. It could have been like, she said that you stole money or something.
I mean, at least he didn't lie.
True.
He was honest about it. But that was obviously the end of the relationship,
But was it? Because some people won't end it. They're like, oh my God, I love you. I'll give you another chance right away. Ended it?
I clean cut ended it.
Okay, good.
Because like I said, looking back, didn't realize how not compatible we were anyway. And
not going to play this game, yeah.
I felt like it was kind of a sign anyway, But when it happens, it's like someone punches you in the gut, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's sort of your head spins too, like a buzzing, like, are you kidding me? Like, I see this on TV, but
yeah, head buzzing is pretty accurate,
So you say that about the girlfriend, or not the girlfriend, the girl that he cheated with, calling you. I have a client whose boyfriend that she was living with and sharing expenses with, and they're older, they're like in their 50s, so it's like relationships after marriage and that kind of thing. He was having an affair with a younger girl for over a year, and she knew that he was living with this other woman, but she kept it up. And then all of a sudden, after about a year, she gave him an ultimatum and said, I want you to pick. Mm-hmm. Which, in a way is kind of, I always think that, well, when you're the one that he's cheating with, do you really think, and he hasn't left the other one yet, do you really think an ultimatum's going to work? Well, it didn't work. He just said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not leaving her. And even though he promised he would for years. It's a classic story, right?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
So she got on the phone and called the woman that he's living with, and said, I just want you to know, I've been having an affair, with your man for over a year. We've traveled, we've gone on vacation, I've got photos, we've been, talk about a punch in the gut. Like, whoa. And so she banished him to the basement.
Really?
Because they were living together, at least for the time being. She's like, to the basement.
Yeah. That's another thing that's a problem. If you're living with the person, sometimes you can't just jump and go. Like,
it's like, now what? Yeah,
you have to awkwardly share a bathroom with them and stuff. Like, just sounds nasty.
Yeah. So, but ultimately, he became remorseful, and he ended up moving out. And a year or two later, now they're back together. And she claims that it's all good. He was so remorseful for so long that she started to trust again. So, yeah, I think there's always a little inkling there, though, that, you need to go out of your way for the rest of forever to not make me wonder, like not lock your phone and not let me see or something like that, kind of stuff,
Yeah, that's a whole nother level, I think, with cell phones. Now you can, when people put like a lock screen and then don't tell their partner what their password is.
Yeah, and like, or all of a sudden, like you haven't had it for 10 years.
Or they change it, then decide not to tell you.
Yeah, like,
your partner, yeah. Like, I can't imagine that.
Like Terry and I, we've never had lock screens. We just don't do that. But we've also never checked each other's phones. Like, our phones are laying around, his phone. Anytime we could go and see, but we just know. We're like, we don't need to check on each other because we know. Mm-hmm.
The trust is there.
When you trust, you trust. Yep, it just exists. So I feel really blessed about that. And there's no way that he, maybe this is why he feels the way he does about trust, because his wife broke trust. They had a 6-year, Megan was 6, and she left. And he came home from work, and there was a note on the kitchen table. I'm leaving you. I'm with another man now. And I've taken Megan, and now that man is Megan's new daddy. No anything. It took him a month to find them. He told that woman told, this is like a whole nother topic. We should talk about Megan, and she would be okay with it, because I even asked her if she'd want to come on the show at some point.
Does she want to?
Yeah, she does. She's just so busy. But we'd have to work it out maybe remotely or something, because she's an hour away, and she's just a very, very busy person in such a great way. Like, she's just going at her life like crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, but yeah, that she broke trust like big time, and then not only that, fed the child lies. Your daddy doesn't love you anymore. This is your new daddy. Do you know how that messes up a kid? Whoa.
I can imagine.
Talk about trust, which she had a lot of problems with. So, but actually, if we're going, and we can even wrap it up after this, but I wanted to also bring up the topic of, because I didn't trust Megan. Well, I did at first when I was raising her, because she moved in with us when she was 11. But then I found out that her lies were pretty deep, and she was pretty manipulative. And I thought, it seemed to me it was more than a normal kid, a normal teenager, normal teenage antics. And I stopped trusting her. I lost it. I don't know if it was because of growing up with Ken that she was similar.
Yeah,
she was troubled. She was,
You pick up on signs that were close to what he was and everything. That's kind of like what I was saying, like with not trusting people. Like, I think I do, but I just, as soon as I pick up on something, that's when I like start to, be very cautious around them and stuff.
When you pick up on something. Yeah. Yep.
When I think something's off. So I changed my original stance. And now that I'm thinking it through it, with the episode.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Like I think I do
therapy.
trust. I do trust people. It just
takes,
but to like really trust someone, obviously it takes more time.
And then, but getting back to my stepdaughter, 100%. I didn't trust her all through her 20s, and she slowly pulled herself out of the bad path she had made for herself.
Yeah.
And she kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And now she's 37 years old, and I trust her 100%. There's no question.
I mean, every time you talk about her,
has changed 100%. There's no going back now. Like Terry and I were always like, okay, well, let's give it time. Yay, she got that great job. Let's see if she keeps it, that kind of thing. Let's see if she doesn't go broke again. No, she is completely different.
And I love that. I think people deserve redemption if they're willing to show that they earned it.
Yes. And she's still so well. It took me a while kind of stuff. I'm like, sweetie, good Lord, look at your upbringing. Your mom, God, you had no foundation. You had 5 different dads. It's not an issue, but I'm just glad, like, I couldn't trust her because I couldn't, A, and B, it wasn't the right thing for her. Like, I didn't want it to be like Ken, where we keep allowing her to do what she's doing and not have some repercussions, which might be our lack of trust, or no, you can't move home again, or no, we won't loan you money kind of stuff, and that's how it turned around. So, but shout out to Megan, because she's just wonderful. And so people can change big time, even if they're older, but she was late 20s and that's probably around 30 is when she's really started to get it together. And now she's 37 and it's been sustained, and she's just amazing. So proud of you. Huh? She doesn't have time to listen.
I mean, you have spoken like that. This isn't just like an on-air thing. Like, you've definitely said that she's turned her life around and stuff. And I think that's really great.
I don't even doubt it anymore, because for a while it'd be, when she would call, I'd be like, uh-oh, here it comes. Mm-hmm. And now when she calls, I just know she's calling to say hi.
Yeah.
Check on us.
That's nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we should probably wrap it up pretty soon here.
Yeah, Katie has plans. That's why she looks so pretty.
Oh, no.
She always looks pretty.
It's for you guys.
Oh, all right. Sorry.
For the YouTube.
The YouTube. You guys.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think this is a really interesting topic, and I think we've said a lot, but we didn't even say everything that you could say about trust,
Yeah. But I like just going back to, it can't be proved, and it just is.
It is or isn't. So if you're getting a bad feeling, you might want to look into that, You might want to
go with your gut.
Go with your gut and figure it out.
Like, go with the signal, but don't judge right away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. People deserve to be trusted until proven otherwise. Did you just burp into the microphone?
I did. Sorry, guys. Champagne, So
I was gonna make myself. I was gonna.
Oh, you're gonna do it too?
Do it.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, been another good episode. I learned some things about you that I didn't know. Again, like about that you were cheated on. Congratulations.
Well, I thought I told you that before.
You know what? I think you did. Now that I said it the second time, I'm like, okay.
But I also tell you a lot of stuff, so I feel like it's hard to remember all of me, I got a lot of stuff.
She's got a lot of stuff. And let me just tell you, girl, I trust you 100%.
I almost drank all of it.
155%. How's that?
Aha. So, I guess that one was on me.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
I finished my champagne. So thank you guys for listening. And we will see you next time.
See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi.
Hi.
Did you see she hit the microphone?
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this week's episode of No More Secrets. If you liked what you saw, subscribe below.
And be sure to check out our website, thealbrechtauthors.com, where you can also purchase a copy of our book, Broken Neck. You better f***ing do it.